The story starts in a fancy clothing shop. A girl is trying on clothes and looking at herself in the mirror. She's having fun, but then she quickly closes the curtain as if someone was watching her. Next, we meet a couple named Thomas and Pippa. They're very happy together and full of love. They've been living in small, rented places for a long time and never had much privacy. But now, they finally move into a nice new apartment. This is a big day for them. Pippa feels like this is a new beginning in their lives, where they can be close without any problems. That night, while settling into their new home, something strange happens. They see another couple through the window of the building across from theirs. This couple is being very close and personal. The man seems full of energy and doesn't know he's being watched. Thomas finds it funny, but Pippa feels a mix of surprise and discomfort. She wants to forget it, but she keeps thinking about what she saw. Later that night, when Pippa wants to be close to Thomas, he falls asleep right away. She feels sad and ignored. Even though she tries not to let it bother her, something inside her feels upset. The next day, she tells her friend about what she saw. Her friend laughs and jokes, but Pippa isn't joking. She's really confused about how the scene made her feel. That night, she sees the couple again doing the same wild things. She gets more curious and can't stop thinking about them. The next day, she buys a telescope and sets it up with Thomas. They both start watching the couple through the window at night, like it's a fun game. Soon, they see a new girl, a model, coming to the neighbor's apartment. At first, it looks like a photo shoot, but quickly it becomes something more. Pippa watches and feels surprised. She tries to get romantic with Thomas, but things don't go as she hoped. Thomas can't keep up, and ends fast. Pippa hides her sadness, but she feels it deep inside. As days go by, Pippa becomes more focused on the neighbor. She can't stop thinking about him. At night, she quietly wakes up and watches through the telescope by herself. She sees the neighbor's wife come home. She tries to be close to her husband, but he pushes her away. Pippa sees the woman's sad face and feels bad for her. She knows that feeling, being ignored. Later, when they're having lunch with friends, Pippa brings up the neighbors again. One friend jokes about how Thomas once made a device in college that could help listen to people from far away using a laser and a shiny surface. Pippa gets excited and wants him to make it again. At first, Thomas says no because it's spying, but she keeps asking, and finally he agrees. Their plan is to place a shiny thing in the neighbor's apartment to catch their voice vibrations. They can then use the laser device to listen to conversations. Luckily, the neighbors are having a Halloween party. Wearing costumes, Pippa and Thomas sneak in and plant the object. It's risky, but it works. Back home, they listen to the neighbors talk. The sound is a little hard to hear, but they understand enough. The man talks about being with another woman in a bathroom. His wife sounds worried. Instead of being nice, he gets angry and even breaks her glasses. That's when Pippa and Thomas find out their names, Svayam and Julia. The next day, Julia walks into the glasses store where Pippa works. Pippa is scared that Julia might know something, but she's friendly and polite. She just wants her glasses fixed. Pippa fixes them while trying to stay calm. Julia looks sweet and nice, not like Pippa imagined. She even reminds Pippa of a famous celebrity, which makes everything feel strange. Later, Thomas tells Pippa that Svayam had another girl over again. He's shocked that the man has so much energy. When Pippa comes home, she says she met Julia. They both feel bad for her. Thomas says not to get too involved, but Pippa feels like she needs to protect Julia. Next, we see Pippa and Julia at a spa. They lie on beds, getting massages. Pippa looks at Julia and thinks she seems happy, but she's not sure if telling her the truth will help or hurt. What she doesn't know is that Julia is already going through a hard time, even if she hides it. Pippa is tired. Her relationship with Thomas feels cold now, and watching the neighbor with new women all the time makes her feel worse. Every time she looks through the telescope, it hurts. Her own love life feels boring, while the neighbor's life is full of passion. One night, Pippa sees something that breaks her heart. Julia is reading a book quietly, while in another room, her husband is with a different woman. It feels so wrong. Pippa thinks it's time to tell Julia the truth. But instead of talking directly, she sends an anonymous message using the couple's printer, something they had access to because of the spying setup. The message warns Julia about what her husband is doing behind her back. At first, Julia didn't think much about the strange message. But then, Pippa sent her another one. This time, it told Julia to check her trash bin for proof of her husband's actions. Julia looked, and what she found matched exactly what the message had said. The truth hit her hard. She couldn't handle it and broke down in tears, completely heartbroken. Meanwhile, Thomas didn't know what Pippa had done. When he walked in and saw her still watching the neighbors through the telescope, he felt confused. But after hearing what she did, his confusion turned into fear and anger. They continued watching Julia, who was now walking around holding a knife, looking scared and broken. Thomas wanted to call the police right away, but Pippa stopped him. She reminded him that if the police came, they could get in trouble too, for spying, watching, and sending messages. Both of them stood silently, hearts pounding, as they watched Julia trembling. But instead of doing anything harmful to herself, she dropped the knife and walked back to her room. The moment was over, but the fear, guilt, and sadness stayed with them. Thomas was furious. He couldn't believe how far things had gone. In anger, he smashed the telescope into pieces and told Pippa she had taken things too far. She had gone beyond just watching. She had interfered. The next day, Pippa felt terrible. She told Thomas she was sorry and promised not to mess with the neighbors' lives again. Thomas felt slightly better. He hoped things would go back to normal, that maybe they could fix their relationship and move on. But then, terrible news came. Julia had taken her own life. This time, it crushed Thomas completely. He couldn't handle the guilt or the pain. He looked at Pippa differently now, like she was a stranger. He said it was over and left her, even though she begged him to stay. Pippa felt her world fall apart. Her heart was broken. But even in all this pain, she couldn't stop thinking about the man across the street. He had lost his wife too. Now he looked sad and empty, sitting alone at a bar. Pippa followed him there. She sat beside him. Slowly, their talk became more personal. It wasn't love, but Pippa wanted to feel close to someone, anyone. Soon, he invited her over, saying it was for a photo shoot. But it was only an excuse. What happened next was passionate and intense. Pippa didn't stop it. She wanted to feel wanted. After that, they met again and again. Days passed, and their secret meetings continued. Pippa got more involved with him. She didn't know this was part of something bigger, something dangerous. Meanwhile, Thomas returned one day with a bunch of flowers in his hands. He had been thinking. He had started to understand his own mistakes and wanted to say sorry. But when he reached the flat, Pippa wasn't there. He waited. To pass the time, he grabbed a bottle of wine from the fridge and poured himself a glass. But something tasted strange. He poured the wine out into a plant pot hanging just outside the window. Then, just like old times, he looked through the same window across the street. What he saw destroyed him. Pippa and the other man were together, deeply involved. She looked happy, like she was enjoying it. It was too painful. Later, when Pippa came home, she found a shocking scene. Thomas had taken his own life. He had hanged himself. Pippa froze in horror. Her body felt cold. Her mind felt empty. Everything around her fell apart. She told her best friend everything. She cried and blamed herself for both deaths, Julia's and Thomas's. Her friend tried to comfort her and said that no one could have guessed things would end like this. But Pippa couldn't forgive herself. The guilt inside her felt too heavy. She said she needed to face the man across the street one last time. Maybe it would help her understand. So she and her friend went to an art exhibition. The man, now a famous photographer, was there giving a speech. He thanked his wife for inspiring his success. Suddenly, something unbelievable happened. Julia walked onto the stage. She wasn't dead at all. Everyone was shocked. Then, photos appeared on a big screen. But they weren't photos of models. They were of Pippa and Thomas. The moments when they were spying, their faces, their reactions, all of it had been photographed. The truth was finally revealed. The couple had known they were being watched the whole time. It was all a setup. The love scenes, the arguments, even Julia's sadness, it had all been planned. The man's goal was to make an art project about spying and how it changes people. Every move Pippa and Thomas made had become part of this strange project. And now, It had made the photographer more famous than ever. Pippa realized she had been tricked and used. She left the exhibition in shock, her mind spinning. When she reached home, she found more printed photos waiting for her. They showed everything, every step of her life falling apart. In anger, she tore the pictures into pieces. But even that didn't make her feel better. The pain stayed. Then something inside her changed. She remembered the wine Thomas drank. She also remembered the dead birds near the plant outside. That's when it clicked. The wine wasn't just bad. It was poisoned. The couple had poisoned it. That's how they planned everything so well. That's how Thomas died. Not long after, the photographer and Julia came home. They found a bottle of wine left by a fan. It was common for them to get gifts. So they opened it and drank. But this wine had something in it. Soon, their printer started printing a message on its own. It read, "I know Thomas didn't take his own life." Panic hit them. Julia fainted. Svayam dropped to the floor. The wine wasn't poison this time, but it had been drugged. Someone had given them a taste of their own game. Later, both of them were shown tied up in a dark room. They couldn't see anymore. Their eyes had been damaged, blinded forever. The people who once watched others in secret could now never see again. In the final scene, two new young men are seen moving into Pippa's old apartment. They are happy and full of dreams, excited to begin their new life. But far away, in darkness and silence, sits Svayam and Julia, trapped in a world they can no longer watch.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.